Hallelujah. May the grace of God and peace from our Lord Jesus Christ be with our beloved senior members, brothers and sisters.
哈利路亚！愿主耶稣的恩惠平安跟我们每一位弟兄姐妹长辈们同在。
According to our Bible reading schedule, we come to 2 Samuel chapter 11 today.
那根据我们现在教会的读经进度，我们今天应该是要读到撒母耳记下的11章。
And this chapter records the incident of David and Bathsheba.
那在这一章里面就提到了这个大卫和拔示巴的这个事情。
As we study the book of 1st and 2nd Samuel, we have seen many wonderful characteristics of David.
我们在读撒母耳记上下的时候，我们会看到大卫很多很好的这个特质。
His courage, his faithfulness with God, his love and his forgiveness.
我们看到他的勇气他对神的信实他的爱心跟他能够原谅别人。
Well, personally, I would like to share more even about, for example, this week's reading in chapter 7 about how David dedicate or made the determination to build the temple for God.
那在这个礼拜我们也读到在第7章那边大卫立志要为神来建殿。
Like personally, that's I was thinking of preparing sermon on that instead of this topic.
那本来我是想要来讲那一段而不是今天晚上要讲的这一段。
But since today we come to chapter 11, I think we should take a look, even though we spent a lot of time taking a look at David's good points, but we should also take a look at his weakness too.
但是既然今天的读经进度是在这一章我们也花了很多时间来思考他的好的地方，那我们也应该要思考一下他做错的地方。
As a personal reflection and also self-examination, and it's recorded for our benefit.
这样子的记载是给我们带来益处，是要我们自己能够反省。
Even though going through this chapter, it makes me really sad for David.
虽然在读这一章的时候，我个人为大卫感到非常的悲伤。
He's such a good person in the eyes of God.
他在神的眼里面是这么好的一个人。
So many wonderful characteristics. It's a hero of our faith.
他有很多好长处他也是我们信仰上的一个典范。
How can he sin so greatly against God?
但是他怎么会犯这么大的罪来得罪神呢？
Let's take a look at what happened.
我们来看一下发生了什么事。
Let's take a look at 2 Samuel chapter 11.
撒母耳记下的11章。
We'll first take a look from verse 1 to verse 5.
从第1节到第5节。
Verse 1.
第1节。
It happened in the spring of the year, at the time when kings go out to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the people of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David remained at Jerusalem.
过了1年，到列王出战的时候，大卫又差派约押率领臣仆和以色列众人出战，他们就打败亚门人，围攻拉巴。大卫仍住在耶路撒冷。
Verse 2.
第2节。
Then it happened one evening that David arose from his bed and walked on the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful to behold.
一日太阳平西，大卫从床上起来，在王宫的平顶上游行，看见一个妇人沐浴，容貌甚美。
Verse 3, So David sent and inquired about the woman. And someone said, Is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?
大卫就差人打听那妇人是谁。有人说她是以莲的女儿，赫人乌利亚的妻拔示巴。
Verse 4, Then David sent messengers and took her, and she came to him, and he lay with her, for she was cleansed from her impurity, and she returned to her house.
第4节，大卫差人去将妇人接来，那时她的月经才得洁净。她来了，大卫与她同房，她就回家去了。
Verse 5, and the woman conceived, so she sent and told David and said, I am with child.
第5节，于是她怀了孕，打发人去告诉大卫说：“我怀了孕。”
So there, here this is the incident that happened between David and Bathsheba. He has, or they have committed adultery.
在这边就记载了大卫与拔示巴犯了这个奸淫的事情。
Which is a very serious a sin in the eyes of God, even in the Ten Commandments.
那这个这样子的罪，在神的眼中是一个非常严重的罪恶因为它有记载在这个十诫当中。
But let's take a look at the situation leading up to this sin.
那我们看一下是什么样的情况让大卫犯了这个罪呢？
Let's take a look at verse 1.
我们看第1节。
Now, in the time of the year when the kings go out to battle, David sent Joab, his general, and his soldiers to go out to fight. But David himself stayed back in Jerusalem.
这里记载在列王出战的时候大卫差派他的将军约押和他的兵队出去打战，但是他自己能住在耶路撒冷。
Why did David stay in Jerusalem?
为什么大卫还住在耶路撒冷呢？
Is it because as a king he has a lot of administrative things to take care of?
那是因为他身为一个王，有很多事情要处理吗？
Not so.
并不是这样。
Because if you take a look at verse 2, he got up. The time that he arose from his bed was already in the evening.
因为在第2节这里记载说他从太阳平息，大卫才从床上起来。
So very likely he sleep very, very late.
所以很有可能他是睡到很晚的一个人。
So he sleep very late, so he got up. It's not in the morning, it's not even in the afternoon. It's almost in the evening time. Then that's the time when he wake up.
他起来的时候不是早上，也不是中午、下午，是已经晚上了，他才起来。
So he didn't go out to fight. One of the very possible explanation is because he is lazy.
那他没有出去打仗很有可能的一个原因就是因为他懒惰。
And maybe he has a lot of good excuse.
或许他有很多很好的借口。
I have done so many battles already previously.
我已经打过了这么多的仗。
It's okay. It's fine for me to take a break.
所以没有关系，我现在可以休息一下。
So his men go out to fight, but he stay back and relax.
所以他就叫人去替他打仗，他自己留在后面放松。
Let's take a look at Proverbs chapter 6.
我们来看一下箴言的第6章。
Proverbs chapter 6.
箴言第6章。
Proverbs chapter 6 verse 9.
箴言第6章第9节。
Proverbs chapter 6 verse 9.
箴言第6章第9节。
How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep?
懒惰人你要睡到几时呢？你何时睡醒呢？
Verse 10.
第10节。
A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep.
在睡片时，打盹片时，抱着手躺卧片时。
Verse 11, so shall your poverty come on you like a prowler, and your need like an armed man.
11节，你的贫穷就必如强盗速来，你的缺乏仿佛拿兵器的人来到。
This is the time of war where the kings go out to fight.
在这个时候是列王出战的时候。
But he didn't want to go.
但是大卫不想要去。
He wanted to relax.
他想要放松。
He sent somebody else to go.
所以他就差派别人去。
Maybe he's saying, just wait a little bit more. I'll go later.
或许他自己想说，再等一下，我待会再去。
You know, sometimes in our life, I think this happened quite a lot too. If you take a look at ourselves.
如果我们看看我们自己的话，我想这在我们生活当中常常会发生的事情。
We have things that we should be doing.
我们有很多应该要做的事情
but we say, we'll wait until later. I'll do it later.
但是我们会自己想说，我再等一下，等一下再做。
Let me enjoy myself a little bit more first.
让我现在先放松一下。
In the Proverbs, this person, he is supposed to, work in the field or work in his work.
箴言里面提到了这一个人，他本来应该是要在田里面工作的。
But he is lazy and he is just sleeping and I'll just sleep a little bit more, sleep a little bit more. And this sleep can represent to some kind of enjoyment or delaying of the work.
但是他因为懒惰，所以他就在睡片时。那这个睡觉有可能可以睡觉可以来表示是一种
就是说 it's a pursue after some kind of a leisure.
是要追求一个享受。
And just delaying just fill your time with leisuring things and push back the important things that you should be doing.
让你花一些时间来享受，然后把你应该要做的事情再推到后来。
And this kind of situation is actually you put yourself in a dangerous situation.
但是你这样子做的话，其实是把你自己放在一个很危险的情况当中。
Well, today in our spiritual life, we should be diligent and moving forward.
今天在我们的属灵生活当中，我们必须要努力的往前行。
And not be lazy and sleepy and pursue after these luxurious things.
而不应该要懒惰或者是想要来追求这些享乐的事情。
Because temptation can come at any time.
因为这个试探是任何时候都可以来到的。
But if we are not ready, we may be overcome by temptation.
那如果我们没有准备好的话，我们很有可能就会被试探胜过。
Let's see what Lord Jesus say.
我们来看一下主耶稣说的。
Luke chapter 22.
路加福音22章。
Luke chapter 22.
路加福音22章。
Verse 46.
46节。
Luke chapter 22, verse 46.
路加福音22章46节。
This is Lord Jesus speaking to his disciples.
这里是主耶稣向他的门徒们说的话。
Then he said to them, Why do you sleep? Rise and pray, lest you enter into temptation.
就对他们说：你们为什么睡觉呢？起来祷告，免得入了迷惑。
So the first reason I think why David fall into temptation so easily is because David was not alert.
那所以我想大卫为什么会这么容易的就陷入这个试探当中第一就是因为他没有警醒。
He did not live an orderly and disciplined life.
他没有过着一个很谨守的这个生活。
Also, it applies to us today as well.
那这个今天也是可以用在我们身上。
We shall live an orderly and disciplined life.
我们要过着一个有规矩而且是谨慎的生活。
Get up and pray.
我们要起来祷告。
Especially in the morning.
尤其是在早上。
Recently, some members shared with me, starting from the pandemic, actually they found themselves praying even more.
最近有信徒在跟我分享说，从这个疫情开始之后他们比较常在祷告。
Because there is a morning prayer group that many of them join.
因为有一个这个网上的祷告团契，那很多人都有参加。
They share, but back then when they were by themselves, it is very difficult to keep up with the prayer habits. But now with brother and sister praying together, actually they pray much more and almost every morning.
那本来自己一个人比较没有办法有这样子的习惯，但是现在因为大家弟兄姐妹一起在早上能够来祷告。
And the sharing was that after this prayer, actually they feel their life actually changed.
那这个信徒就跟我分享说，在这样子的祷告之后，他发现说他们的生活有改变。
I feel their faith is more strong.
他觉得说他的信仰比较
Even they
坚强。
take a look at things more differently.
他也会用不同的眼光来看事情。
So the first thing that we can learn is to have a disciplined life, starting with our morning prayer.
所以我们第一可以学习来做的，就是要过一个有规律的生活我们可以从早上从祷告开始。
It doesn't mean everyone has to, start or join a prayer group, but at least yourself, take a look at yourself. What can I do?
这不是说每一个人都要来参加这个早祷团契 但是我们至少看一下我们自己可以做什么。
Am I examining myself? Am I living a disciplined life?
我们自我反省一下，看我们是不是有过一个这个谨守的生活。
If we have not been disciplined, have not been alert, then actually we are in a vulnerable situation.
如果我们并不是处于一个非常谨慎的情况的话，那我们有可能就在这个危险当中。
We could even easily entering into temptation.
我们可能很容易就进入这个试探。
Let's continue with 2 Samuel chapter 11.
我们来继续看撒母耳记下11章。
So David wake up and the sun is going down. What does he do?
所以大卫起来以后，已经太阳要下山了，那他做什么呢？
Is it finally he wake up to work?
他是不是起来就要工作呢？
No.
没有。
Let's see what he does.
他做了什么？
Chapter 11 verse 2, it says, he walked on the roof of the king's house.
11章的第2节说，他在王宫的平顶上游行。
And from the roof he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful to behold.
看见一个妇人沐浴，容貌甚美。
So David sent and inquired about the woman, and someone said, Is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?
大卫就差人打听那妇人是谁，有人说她是以莲的女儿，赫人乌利亚的妻拔示巴。
Then David sent for her, took her, and then she came to him, and he lay with her.
大卫差人去将妇人接来，他来了，大卫与他同房。
Okay, he get up late in the day, doesn't start to work. He start to walk around the roof of the king's house.
我们看到说大卫他很晚才起来然后并没有工作，他就在王宫的平顶
Well,
上
in the
游行。
Chinese translation, I mean the English it says walk around. The Chinese translation 游行 is kind of he's taking a leisure walk,
这
just
里
very relaxed and walk around.
这里中文提到说他在游行，好像很放松的这样子在散步。
In a way, if you think about this, it's like when a person is very bored.
你可以想一想通常这样子的情况是一个人他很无聊的时候
Looking for things to see, looking for things to do.
他可能到处的要找看有什么事情可以做，什么事情可以看。
You know, when you have a television at home,
你家里如果有电视的话，
then how often do you find yourself flipping through the channels?
你是不是会常常的电视打开就一台一台这样子转？
There's not something that you need to watch or something. You just want to kill some time and you flip. You're looking for things to see.
你并没有要看特别一个节目，你只是在一台一台的这样子换然后来打发时间。
Because you are bored.
因为你无聊。
And what do you do when you're bored?
你无聊的时候你做什么呢？
You go on the internet.
你是不是上网呢？
You look for things to see.
是不是上网找东西
You
看？
look for things to watch to have a leisure.
上网找东西来看，来当做娱乐。
And then you're not really aiming for something, just aimlessly wandering around.
你并没有一个特别的目标，就这样子自己在那边这样子走来走去。
That is the time when you need to be careful.
就在这个时候，你是必须要小心的。
What did David come across?
我们看到大卫碰到了什么
He
事情？
come across someone who was bathing.
他碰到了一个妇人在沐浴。
And that the same thing could happen too. You're on the internet, you could come across something that you should not be looking at.
那这样子的事情也会发生在我们身上，可能你在网上这样子看，然后就会看到一个你不应该看的东西。
Now, what does David do?
那大卫做什么？
When he saw the woman bathing,
当他看到这个妇人在沐浴的
he
时候，
keep on looking.
他就继续的看。
He even found out the woman was very beautiful to behold.
他甚至看到说这个妇人她容貌甚美。
Normally, if you see someone bathing, cannot avoid just walking and then what do you turn away right away.
通常当你不小心看到一个人在沐浴的时候，你通常都是会马上的转走。
He keep on looking and find out she's very beautiful to behold.
但是我们看到说大卫他继续的去看，而且发现到说这个妇人非常的美貌。
But let's come back a little bit first. Why was he bored in the first place?
那为什么大卫他这么的无聊呢？
Or in a way to say he was empty in his heart.
为什么他的心里面这样子有这样的空虚呢？
Looking for something.
要找事情
Now,
做
one
呢？
of the reason because he was not satisfied.
那可能一个原因是因为他并不满足。
And particularly, this point is about his marriage.
那有可能是因为他在婚姻上没有满足。
Let's take a look at 2 Samuel.
我们来看一下撒母耳记下。
2 Samuel chapter 6.
撒母耳记下的第6章。
And from verse 20 to 23 records an interaction between David and his wife.
在这里第6章的后面就记载了大卫跟他的妻子的一段事情。
Chapter 6, verse 20.
第6章的20节。
Then David returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, How glorious was the king of Israel today, uncovering himself today in the eyes of the maids of his servants, as one of the base fellows shamelessly uncovers himself.
大卫回家要给眷属祝福，扫罗的女儿米甲出来迎接他，说：以色列王今日在臣仆的婢女眼前露体，如同一个亲见人无耻露体样，有好大的荣耀啊。
Verse 21. So David said to Michal, It was before the Lord who chose me instead of your father and all his house to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord over Israel. Therefore, I will play music before the Lord.
大卫对米甲说：这是在耶和华面前，耶和华已拣选我，废了你父和你父的全家，立我做耶和华民以色列的君，所以我必在耶和华面前跳舞。
Verse 22.
22节。
And I will be even more undignified than this, and will be humbled in my own sight. But as for the maidservants of whom you have spoken, by them I will be held in honor.
我也必更加卑微，自己看为轻贱。你所说的那些婢女，她们倒要尊敬我。
Verse 23.
23节。
Therefore, Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no children to the day of her death.
扫罗的女儿米甲直到死日没有生养儿女。
So here is, David coming. He moved the ark to Jerusalem, and he was very joyful.
这里在大卫将约柜运入耶路撒冷之后，他非常的喜乐。
He blessed the people, the multitude, in the name of the Lord.
他就在为这个全百姓来祝福。
And now he's returning home and want to bless his whole household.
然后他回家想要给他的眷属祝福。
You can imagine this must be a very happy moment in David's life.
我们可以想象说，这个在大卫心里面是一件很快乐的
But
事
at
情。
this time, his wife Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out and ridiculed him.
但是这里这个米甲扫罗的女儿出来就嘲笑他。
And as a result, in the end, you can see in verse 22, it says, Therefore, Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no children to the day of her death. So it can imply that she and David is not in a good relationship. They are not intimate afterwards.
所以23节提到说，这个米甲直到死日都没有生养儿女。这可以代表说他后来跟大卫的这个关系并不是很好。
So you can see David, that's why David is walking around by himself.
所以我们可以看到说，这就是为什么大卫他自己一个人在游行。
One of the best things to do is to walk around, in the neighborhood after you have a meal, walk around with your spouse, with your loved ones, and together in a family you go out and walk around.
通常在晚上吃完饭以后，你跟你的家人、跟你的妻子出去散步走一走，这是非常享受的一件事情。
That is really good.
这样子很好。
If David and his wife Michal has a good relationship,
那如果大卫跟他的妻子米甲有一个很好的关系，
sure, it's okay. He wake up very late, but when he go out to walk, the wife go and walk with him, holding his hand.
他睡到很晚起来没有关系，但是他出去行走的时候，他的妻子能够跟着他一起。
What happened? They see a woman that's bathing.
那当他看到一个妇女在沐浴的话，
And then the wife, what are you looking at?
他的妻子会跟他说：“你在看什么
But I don't know. No woman is as lovely as my wife. He will say？” probably.
他可能就会对他的太太说：“没有一个妇人是比你还要更
My
美。
heart is completely satisfied.
我的心非常的满足。
So you will not be looking at that woman for sure.
他也不会去看这个妇人在沐浴。
Yeah, maybe by accident he saw, but quickly he goes, I will not look at this woman.
可能他不小心看到，但是他会马上的就转脸
So
去看。
that emptiness, that could result from his marriage not being satisfied and bored, then that from one step leads to another.
所以我们可以想象说，很有可能是因为他的婚姻上面没有这样子的满足，所以他心中有这种空虚感。
So usually in the Bible, when I talk about a person's sin, it has 3 steps.
通常在圣经里面提到一个人的犯罪的这个过程当中，会提到3步。
Start with looking,
第一是从看开始，
and then second is the heart.
然后第二就是他的心里面
The desire is aroused.
他有这样子的欲望，
And then the third step is to go and actually do it.
然后第3步就是他会去有行动去做出来。
For example, Achan in the time of the Joshua.
举例来说，在约书亚时候有一个人叫做亚干。
Let's take a look at Joshua chapter 7.
我们来看一下约书亚记的第7章
Particularly verse 21.
21节。
Chapter 7, verse 21.
约书亚记第7章21节。
When I saw among the spoils a beautiful Babylonian garment, 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold weighing 50 shekels, I coveted them and took them.
21节，我在所夺的财物中看见一件美好的事，拿衣服200舍客勒银子，一条金子重50舍客勒，我就贪爱这些物件，便拿去了，现今藏在我帐篷内的地里。
So here's the 3 steps of how Achan sinned.
所以我们这边看到这个亚干他犯罪的这个3个步骤。
The first step he saw.
第一步他看见，
Second, he coveted.
然后他就贪爱，
And then third, he go ahead and took them.
第3他就拿去了，
And now he's hiding so that people do not see it.
然后后来他就把它藏起来，这样大家就看不到。
So these are the 3 steps. And if you think about it, David is very similar.
所以这个是这个3个步骤。我们如果看一下大卫，他也是很类似的。
Yeah, he started by seeing.
他一开始先看见，
And then his heart lust after her.
然后他的心里面就有这个欲望，
And then he sent people to bring her to him, and then they committed adultery.
他就差人去把他接过来，然后他们就犯了这个奸淫。
So if these are the 3 steps,
所以这个是这个3个步骤。
then we must build defense in our life, guarding against the sin.
那我们在生活当中就必须要能够有来防御来这样子的犯罪，
Starting with our eyes.
从我们的眼睛开始。
Job gave us a very good example.
约伯给我们一个很好的榜样。
Job chapter 31.
约伯记的31章。
Job chapter 31 verse 1.
约伯记31章的第1节。
Job chapter 31 verse 1.
约伯记31章第1节。
I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I look upon a young woman?
我与眼睛立约，怎能冉冉瞻望处女呢？
So the first defense is with your eyes.
所以第一个防御就是你的眼睛。
Job already, he even made a covenant with his eyes. Do not look at young women.
这里约伯与他的眼睛立约，不要去看这个处女。
This look upon a young woman, now in the Chinese translation, it's like not only just you saw a young woman, but you look at that woman, you keep on looking at that woman, even less after her, that kind of looking.
这里提到中文提到这个冉冉瞻望，就是不只是只有看到，而且是你一直的去看。
So that's the first thing. Made a covenant with your eyes. When you look at, just be careful with your eyes.
我们要与我们的眼睛立约，要非常的小心。
And then the second thing is our heart.
那第二就是我们的心。
Let's take a look at Proverbs
我们来看箴言
chapter 4,
第4章
verse 23.
23节。
Chapter 4, verse 23.
箴言第4章23节。
Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issue of life.
你要保守你心，胜过保守一切，因为一生的果效是由心发出。
So you have to guard your heart.
所以我们要保守我们的心。
Guard your heart. And one of the important things in this example is to let your heart be filled with the love of God.
那要保守我们的心，一个很好的方法就是让我们的心充满了神的爱。
Love for your family, for your spouse.
让我们的心充满对我们家人的爱。
Then there is no foothold for Satan and for the evil one to tempt you.
那这样子，这个撒旦二者就没有没有这个地步来诱惑你。
Let your heart be filled with the Word of God.
我们要让我们的心被神的话充满。
The problem is if our heart is empty.
如果我们的心是空的，那就有问题。
Our heart is empty, then we're bored and we're always looking for things.
如果我们的心是空的，我们非常的无聊，我们想要找事情做。
So when we see something that is bad, they'll be easily able to enter into our heart.
所以当我们的眼睛看到不好的东西，这个东西就很容易能够进入我们的心。
But if our heart is strong with the love of God and the love to our family,
但是如果我们的心非常的坚强，我们有对神的爱，也对我们家人的爱，
then these temptation will not easily sway us.
那这样子这些诱惑都没有办法来引诱我们。
And the third thing
第三
is or put it into action.
就是有这个动作。
So obviously we do not put it into action.
所以我们不能够去把它做出来。
But more than that, we should do the opposite, is to run away.
但是更重要的就是我们要做的就是要赶快逃跑。
Let's take a look at Genesis chapter 39.
我们来看一下创世纪的39章。
Genesis chapter 39. This is an example of David. Sorry, not David. Joseph.
创世纪39章这里就讲到了这个约瑟的这个例子。
Chapter 39, verse 10.
39章的第10节。
So this is his master's wife coming to want to lay with him.
这里约瑟的主母要来和他同寝。
Verse 10. So it was as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not heed her to lie with her, nor to be with her.
后来他天天和约瑟说，约瑟却不听从他，不与他同寝，也不和他在一处。
There are three things that Joseph says no to.
这里约瑟对他的主母说了3种不同的不。
First, no, don't even listen to her.
第一就是不听他。
No to lay with her.
不与他同寝。
Even the third one, no to be with her together, even in the same room.
还有不和他在一处。
So this is called running away.
这个就是叫逃跑。
Flee.
逃走。
Joseph is not saying, I will fight with you.
约瑟并没有说我会和你来对抗。
No problem. As much as you tempt me, I will never sin against God.
不管你怎么样的诱惑我，没有关系，我不会得罪神。
Some people, you can try me, tempt me as much as you want. I will not sin against God. But that's not what Joseph does.
有些人可能会想说，你可以来试探我，你来试试看，我绝对不会犯罪。但是约瑟不是这样子。
He does not want to be around this person.
他不想要跟这一个人在一起。
He does not want to be in this environment.
他不想要在这样子的环境当中。
Because Joseph is a youth.
因为约瑟他是一个年轻人。
It's very normal to have youthful lusts.
所以身为一个年轻人，有这种青年的这个欲望，这是非常正常的。
Actually, this youthful lust not only apply to the youth, even apply to older people too.
这种年轻的欲望不只是只有年轻人会有有的时候年纪比较大的人也会有。
What should we do?
那我们应该要怎么做呢？
What does the Bible tell us?
圣经怎么跟我们说
Let's
呢？
take a look at 2 Timothy.
我们来看一下提摩太后书。
2 Timothy.
提摩太后书。
2 Timothy chapter 2.
提摩太后书第2章。
2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 22.
提摩太后书第2章的22节。
Flee Also, youthful lusts, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, peace with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart.
你要逃避少年的私欲，同那倾心祷告主的人，追求公义、信德、仁爱、和平。
So the action that was given here is to flee, is to run away.
这里有一个动作，就是要逃避。
We can't avoid ourselves. Sometimes, really, the temptation come to us. We see things or something attracts.
有的时候我们没有办法避免这个试探就来到我们这里。
Even you feel, your heart is being attracted.
有的时候你会感觉到你的心好像被吸引了。
You know this is wrong.
你知道这个是不对的。
What should you do at that time?
那在那个时候你应该要怎么做呢？
Get up and run away.
那就赶快起来逃走。
Flee.
要逃避。
Do not go towards that direction.
不要朝着那件事情走去。
Go the other direction.
要往反方向去。
Sometimes in the student spiritual convocation.
有的时候在这个学生联会当中。
The student asks a lot of questions.
有些学生他们会问一些问题。
And one of the things they are most interested in is about relationships.
那有一件事情他们很有兴趣的，就是有关于这个男女的关系。
Especially about boyfriend, girlfriend.
他们会想说这个男朋友、女朋友的问题。
And a lot of times the question come out to be, how far is too far?
那有的时候常常他们会问的问题就是说我到底能够做到什么样
？They know from the growing up in the church, they know, this kind of boyfriend, girlfriend when they're in the school days, it's not good in the eyes of God.
在教会里面长大，他们知道说这种男朋友、女朋友在这个上学的时候，这个在神的眼中是不应该做的事情。
Even God doesn't want them to be with unbelievers.
神也不想要他们跟这个没有信的人在一起。
Then they ask how far is too far?
但是他们会说他们会问说，我可以做到什么地步
？It's like they know it's wrong.
好像他们知道说这是不对
They
的。
know it's a cliff in the front there.
好像他们知道说在前面有一个这个山谷在
But
那
they
里。
keep walking towards that cliff.
他们就继续的往这个山谷去走。
Everybody is doing this.
每一个人都这样子走。
So I keep on walking towards the cliff.
要朝着这个悬崖走过去。
And how far can I go towards the cliff without falling in? That's the question.
那我可以走到离这个悬崖多近而不掉下去呢？这个就是问题。
But then the problem is the direction is wrong.
但是问题就是说这个走的方向是错的。
You're not supposed to walk towards the cliff.
你不应该朝着这个悬崖走过去。
They're not asking how far is too far.
你不应该问说我要能够走
The
多
thing you
远。
gotta do is if you feel you're attracted, you run away.
那你应该要做的是，如果你觉得你的心已经被吸引了，你要赶快从另外一个方向逃走。
As Lord Jesus said, get up and pray.
或者就好像主耶稣说的，要警醒祷告。
Get up, 起来祷告。
要起来祷告。
This sleep can represent spiritual slumbering.
这个睡觉也可以代表是一种属灵的这个睡觉。
And get up.
你要赶快起来
and pray.
祷告。
Maybe you cannot run away. I mean, now in the pandemic, it's you're in your home. But back in that's if you go to school.
或许你没有办法逃走。现在
Now in pandemic you're at home, but let's say you go to school. This person is right there. Always after you.
现在可能大家都在家里，但是如果你去上学的话，有可能这个人就在你的眼前。
What should you do?
那你应该要怎么做呢？
In the morning, you pray first before you go to school.
早上起来，你去上学以前，你先祷告。
Lord, help me.
主啊，帮助我。
I want to be holy. I want to serve you.
我想要圣洁，我想要能够服侍你。
Help me to not fall into this temptation.
求你帮助我，不要落入这个试探当中。
So coming back to the incident between David and Bathsheba.
所以我们再看回来这个大卫与拔示巴的这个事情。
Even though David has many good characteristics.
虽然说大卫有很多好处。
But from this mistake, we should also learn and really be aware.
但是从他犯的这个错，我们应该要来思考，而且要谨慎。
From many of the points that we share, we start with living an orderly life.
从我们刚刚所分享的这几点 一开始就是我们应该要过着一个有规律的生活
a very disciplined life.
有一个过一个很谨慎的生活
Even begin with watch and pray in the morning.
从早上开始我们就能够警醒祷告
And then secondly is to be satisfied with the love of God and with the life that God has given us.
第二就是我们要能够有神的爱来被神的爱满足，而且能够对于我们神所赐给我们的这个生活有满足。
If you are always finding yourself empty, bored, and looking for something to entertain yourself,
如果你总是觉得说你心里面空虚，你很无聊，你想要找一些事情来娱乐，
then remind yourself of David.
那你可能要提醒一下你
You look
大卫的
around to
事情
see things, really, something will come to you.
有的时候你看到一个事情，这个就临到你了
And the result was not very good.
这样子结果就不是很好
So put God in 3 aspects.
所以我们要能够在3方面来做这个
Start with your
防御的工
eyes.
作。我们要从我们的眼睛开始，
Keep your heart.
然后要保守我们的
Let your
心，
heart be filled with the word of God, be filled with the love of God.
让我们的心被神的话、神的爱充满。
And thirdly, always be ready to run away.
第3就是要准备好要来逃避。
The thing with temptation is not something for you to fight.
这个试探不是要你去跟他这个
The
对抗
thing。with this desire and lust is not, don't be overconfident, but flee and run away and run towards God and ask God to help you.
我们不要太有自信，而是我们要能够逃跑，然后求神来帮助我们。
May the Lord help us.
愿神能够帮助我们。
Let's sing a hymn.
我们一起来唱诗
239.
239首。